What's up, everybody? So lately, mechanical keyboards have honestly started becoming more than just keyboards. And today, we have the YUNZII B75 Pro Max, and we're taking a closer look at it. We'll be looking into whether this thing is actually worth adding to your setup, or if it's just another keyboard trying too hard to look unique. Now, we made the unboxing video already, so in case you want to know what comes with it, check the unboxing video. Now, moving on, one thing we immediately appreciated here is that the whole package actually feels useful. Nothing feels randomly thrown in just to make the box look fuller. The extra switches, replacement keycaps, and puller tools all make sense because this keyboard is clearly built around customization from the beginning. And honestly, that already gives the B75 Pro Max a much more enthusiast-focused feel before we even start typing on it. Now, visually, this thing absolutely has personality. The retro-inspired styling immediately stands out once it hits the desk. The legends, the font choices, the overall layout styling, it all gives off that nostalgic vintage computer vibe without looking outdated or gimmicky. And honestly, that's not easy to pull off, because some retro keyboards lean way too hard into the aesthetic and end up looking more like props than actual daily use keyboards. But here, YUNZII actually found a pretty nice middle ground. Because underneath that retro look, this is still a modern 75% layout keyboard designed for everyday usability. You're saving desk space compared to full-size boards, but you still keep the important keys people actually use regularly. So overall, it still feels practical for activity desks, editing stations, or even minimalist workspaces. Now, in terms of build quality, the keyboard honestly feels surprisingly solid too. At just under a kilogram, it has enough weight to stay planted on the desk properly without sliding around during typing sessions, and the rubber feet help keep everything stable. The body itself uses a matte plastic finish that honestly feels clean and practical. No crazy fingerprint magnet surfaces, no unnecessary glossy coatings, just simple and functional. Then there's the gasket-mounted structure. And honestly, this is one of those features keyboard enthusiasts instantly notice. Because instead of having that super stiff, harsh bottom-out feeling, the gasket mount adds a softer, slightly cushioned typing experience that feels much smoother during longer sessions. Whether you're gaming, writing, editing, or just spending hours typing throughout the day, the keyboard honestly feels comfortable to use. Now, the keycaps themselves are made from PBT plastic, which honestly is always a really good sign at this price point, because cheaper ABS keycaps usually start developing shine and wear pretty quickly over time, but PBT tends to hold up much better long-term, and the textured feel honestly just feels nicer overall during daily use. And thankfully, the typing sound profile here is pretty satisfying too. It's not super loud or overly aggressive, but it still has that clean mechanical keyboard sound people usually want. And honestly, the pre-lubed switches combined with the gasket structure help the keyboard sound smoother and less hollow than a lot of cheaper gaming boards floating around right now. Now, one feature we honestly ended up using way more than expected is the multifunction knob, because at first it kind of just looks like one of those extra premium-looking additions companies throw onto keyboards nowadays. But after actually using it for a while, it becomes surprisingly useful. You can control volume, scroll through content, and instantly mute audio with a press. And honestly, once you get used to having it there, reaching for keyboard shortcuts or extra mouse controls starts feeling unnecessary. Then right beside the knob, we get probably the weirdest and most interesting part of this keyboard: the built-in display. Now honestly, this thing isn't trying to become some super advanced productivity screen or anything like that, but it absolutely gives the keyboard way more personality compared to most other boards in this category. The display supports custom images, GIF animations, battery info, date and time displays, connection status, and system information. And honestly, once you start adding animations or custom visuals to it, the keyboard suddenly feels way more alive sitting on the desk. Now, obviously, this is more of a fun feature than a productivity feature. But honestly, that's kind of the point. Mechanical keyboard setups nowadays are just as much about personality and desk aesthetics as they are about typing itself. The display definitely helps this keyboard stand out visually. Now, there are a few limitations. Viewing angles on the TFT panel aren't amazing, especially under strong overhead lighting, and the startup animation replaying every time the keyboard wakes up can eventually become a little repetitive. But honestly, neither of those things ended up bothering us too much during regular use. Now, RGB lighting is another area where this keyboard honestly looks really good too. because thanks to the transparent legends and side glow effects, the lighting spreads really nicely throughout the board instead of just blasting brightness directly upward. The RGB effects feel clean, vibrant, and customizable without looking overly cheap or distracting. And thankfully, you can control most of the lighting directly through shortcuts too. Now, connectivity is another area where the B75 Pro Max honestly feels very complete overall. You can run this thing wired through USB Type-C, wirelessly through Bluetooth, or through 2.4 GHz wireless mode depending on your setup. And honestly, that flexibility matters a lot nowadays because people constantly switch between desktops, laptops, tablets, and even TVs throughout the day. Bluetooth pairing supports up to 3 devices simultaneously too, and switching between them honestly feels quick and pretty seamless overall. Now for customization, this keyboard uses VIA and QMK instead of traditional software. And honestly, for enthusiasts, that's a really big deal. Because once you get into VIA and QMK, the amount of customization becomes kind of insane. Key remapping, macros, lighting adjustments, layers, shortcuts, you can fine-tune almost everything exactly how you want it. Now, obviously, there's a slight learning curve at first if you've never used VIA or QMK before, but once you understand how it works, the flexibility honestly becomes one of the biggest strengths of this keyboard. Now, battery life is another area where the B75 Pro Max honestly performs really well too. With an 8,000 mAh battery inside, this thing lasts way longer than a lot of wireless keyboards in this category. Even with RGB lighting and the display active, battery life still feels pretty respectable overall. And if you turn some of those extra visual features down, the keyboard can last an extremely long time before needing a recharge. And honestly, that balance matters, because some keyboards look amazing visually, but then completely destroy battery life in wireless mode. But here, the B75 Pro Max honestly manages things pretty well overall. Now with all that said, this keyboard still isn't perfect. Because first off, if you're somebody who wants ultra-simple plug-and-play software with giant easy menus everywhere, VIA and QMK might feel slightly intimidating at first. Then there's the display itself. While it absolutely adds personality to the keyboard, it's definitely more of a visual feature than a functional one, so people expecting deep smartwatch-level functionality from it should probably manage expectations a little bit. But honestly, those feel more like small compromises than actual deal-breakers. Because overall, the B75 Pro Max honestly feels like one of those keyboards that successfully balances personality, customization, typing comfort, and modern features surprisingly well for the price. The retro-inspired styling gives it a really unique desk presence, the typing experience feels smooth and satisfying, the wireless flexibility is genuinely useful, and features like the display, knob, RGB lighting, and QMK support help it feel way more enthusiast-focused than a lot of generic gaming keyboards out there right now. And honestly, at this price point, the overall value here feels pretty hard to ignore. Alright guys, that's going to be it for this one. Let us know down in the comments, when it comes to keyboards, do you care more about typing feel, customization, RGB aesthetics, or just pure functionality overall? If you enjoyed the video, make sure to drop a like, subscribe for more setup tech and gadget content like this, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.